What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, along with Big G. Welcome to the Big Show. Man, we got a action-packed show for you guys today, man. We got a ton to cover and a ton to talk about. Off-season is here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so we're going to get into a lot of that, man. Talking Super Bowl predictions, a little bit about of course, we'll talk about Ohio State winning the national championship. We'll go over that. Yeah, I know. Go into some off-season moves. We got a couple of mock drafts that we're going to go over. We got a lot of stuff to cover, man. So we appreciate everybody being in here. Again, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want your question, your comment, your rant up on the screen, you know exactly how to do that. Super chats are over. And don't forget, man, members. Membership is absolutely open. Make sure you guys sign up if you haven't already. So appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get into this, man. So first things first, Big G, let me just ask you how you doing, my man?
Man, I feel well today, man. It's the best of times and worst of times at the same time. My Pittsburgh Steelers is hurting, but my Buckeye boys handle their business. So it's the best of times and the worst of times at the same time. But I'm okay because I think we're going to get some solutions. First, some answers, and then get some solutions on how we can fix our Pittsburgh Steelers, man. I think we can.
Yeah, that's the main thing is we got to get some answers, man. Got to get some answers. More importantly, like you said, got to get some solutions. So got to go get those solutions. Look, the Super Bowl, we know exactly what's going on. The Chiefs against the Eagles. Let's just get into it, man. I think it's a matchup that the Eagles can win. Look, we saw last week, Buffalo ran the ball whenever they wanted to against the Chiefs. And Josh Allen ran it. I thought that Buffalo made a mistake in the last drive when they were going to try to win the game. They should have run the ball a little bit then. They could have kept running the football. It was almost like they were trying to score so quickly, but I thought they could have run the ball even more then, and they didn't. I thought it was a mistake to not involve James Cook more. But the Eagles are going to involve Saquon Barkley till the end of the football game. So I think the Eagles have the advantage in this. But here's a stat. Let me throw this stat at you, Big G. There's been 121 times since 2001. There's been 121 or 25 times, where a team or a quarterback has gotten the ball with the ball back, either needing a touchdown or a field goal, something that they're down, and they need a score to either take the lead or tie it up under 1 minute with 1 minute or less to play. Okay, it's happened 125 times. The average time that somebody or the times that somebody has actually completed this is 40%. That's what the average is. Tom Brady was pretty good. He was 5 of 11. 11 times he came through 5 times. Drew Brees was even better. He was 3 for 6, so 50%. The only person in the history of the NFL that's been 100% is Patrick Mahomes, is 7 for 7. So if you're going to beat them, you have to beat them. You can't allow the game to be close, man. You can't. Because if you do, he's going to beat you. And that's the difference, man. That is the difference. As we get our first super chat from Baby Doll, Arch Baby Doll up here. Hey, what's going on? But Big G, you got to beat the Chiefs, man. You can't let them hang around. If you do, you're in trouble.
B, man, I agree. Personally, let me say this. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have the best 53-man roster in all of football. When you go top to bottom, player to player with depth, I think they have it. And I think they have the most dominating line in all of football. Size, speed, just straight up bully ball. And they probably got the best player outside of quarterback in all of football in Saquon Barkley. So I think they have the formula. But the issue is they're going to have to mash the gas early on Kansas City. They're going to have to just score. Like if they win the kickoff, take the ball and go down and score, right? And then you got to slow my homeboy up to where you get a punt, you get a field goal, you get a punt, stuff like that, and you got to go up 21-10. You got to go up 24-14. You need a cushion because when it gets tight, my homeboy and the Chiefs going to mash the gas, man. And they're going to do stuff you ain't seen all year, you know?
Right. Here's the thing about that too, Big G. You said get a 21-10. You realize that every time that Patrick Mahomes has been down by double digits in the playoffs, he's come back and won the football game. So you can't even go up 10 points on the Chiefs and not have them win. It's like, what is going on? It's unbelievable what's going on.
What you want to, you know, I don't want to get us kicked off the air, man, but I think there's some conspiracy going on with them stripes, man. You know, because there's too many times it's coincidental. But that plays to it. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this before. We saw this with Tom Brady. Any questionable call or anything like that, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's just Pat Mahomes' time. So now what the Philadelphia Eagles have to do is they flat out got to just beat him up. They literally got to go into the game, and they got to be like, every time we get the ball, score a touchdown. They have to do it every single time and not care. And, like, just get really physical with them because I think Kansas City will wear down, especially defensively over time, if they just keep mashing the gas and keep mashing the gas and keep mashing the gas. You can't come up off the gas. And I don't think they got an answer, really, to be honest. I don't think they got an answer for A.J. Brown. I don't. I think I like Kansas City's team. I like their defense. I don't think they got an answer for him. So
I mean, it'll be tough. McDuffie's good, but A.J. Brown is more physical in that physical type of matchup there. My thing is that they can run the football. They don't have to have the super explosive plays by Saquon because I think the best avenue here is to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Yeah, go on those long drives. You know, go on those 10, 12, 13 play drives and just work the ball methodically down the field. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get the explosive plays like they did the first play of the game last week, it is what it is. But I think that's the avenue. As far as the refs, you know going into it that the Chiefs are going to get the call. You just know it. It is what it is, man. But the only thing that I would say about that is at the end of the game, Patrick Mahomes is still making the plays. Like, he's not getting the benefit of the calls by completing these passes. You know, everybody wants to talk about, well, what about the Super Bowl 2 years ago? I'm like, man, it was holding. Everybody saw him grab the man's jersey. It's like you act like we didn't see that. We did. He grabbed it. That's holding. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Maybe you don't like the call in that spot, but if it's a penalty in the first quarter, it has to be a penalty in the last play of the game. Period. End of story. But having said all of that, I like the Eagles' chances, man. I really do, Big G. I think they got a fighting chance just for what you said because of the physicality that they're going to bring to this.
Well, I'm going to flat out pick the Eagles to win. I think the Eagles, they've been here before. It's been there, done that. They played Kansas City in the Super Bowl. They had a superhero-type effort out of Jalen Hurts last time. But what hurt him is when he turned the ball over. He threw a fumble, and that hurt him because they had Kansas City dead to rights. They had them. But I think this time they don't turn the ball over and they get really physical because I think those two defensive tackles are going to wreck shop with Kansas City's offensive line too. Yeah. Those Georgia Bulldogs is going to cause problems, man. Yeah. They're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah, so, they got something there. They can – Chiefs interior is really, really good. But remember, Tuane's playing left tackle now.
That's right.
There's a backup playing left guard. So we're going to find out some stuff. Mr. Luke Cage got a super chat. He says, do you think GP gets traded? We're going wide receiver D-line in the first round. My man, we are going to get to all of that. We're going to get to all of that, I promise. Stick around, follow along with us. I promise we'll answer all those questions for you. And thank you again for supporting the channel. We appreciate it. But moving on from that, man, like I said, a three-peat is in the making. I think the Eagles stop it. Now, here's a thought. And I brought this up before, Big G, and people gave me hell for it. And I don't care because I'll be flat out. I think people were wrong. They were crazy. Because I said if Philly could move on from Andy Reid, why can't the Steelers move on from Mike Tomlin? Well, Mike Tomlin's had way more success than Andy Reid. I go, nobody said that he didn't. But that doesn't mean that Andy Reid wasn't a great football coach. And Philly moved on. Oh, by the way, this is now going to be the third Super Bowl that Philly has been to since they got rid of Andy Reid. And
Facts.
let's not act like Andy Reid wasn't outstanding in Philadelphia. He was. He just didn't win a Super Bowl. Okay. And they are fine after moving on from him. So
Right.
everybody that says, Big G, and I want to get your opinion, everybody that says, well, you move on from Mike Tomlin, you're going to stink. Well, Philly didn't stink.
Yeah.
Why does Pittsburgh have to be bad if that were the case, if they moved on from Mike Tomlin?
Well, listen, there is no personnel, player, coach, or general manager in the NFL that you cannot move from. It just
Correct.
doesn't exist, right? And people make these type of decisions every day. The issue is that the Rooney family is loyal and faithful to their coaches that they hire. We've only had
Correct.
3 coaches since like 1970, bro.
Right.
You know, so that's the issue or the problem. Mr. Rooney is very loyal towards Mike Tomlin. However, Mike Tomlin can be replaced. And I personally feel, B, he's got like this year. If he doesn't get a playoff win this year, yeah, we might have to move on and separate and go ahead and just push it. And listen, they're not going to fire him. They're either going to let him walk with his dignity or they're going to trade him. So I get it. And it might be time now. You know, I think we're not a Tomlin apologetics on this show. We really call him out for what it is.
Correct.
Right? But the issue is that we got to see what he looks like with a full complement, trying to figure out what a quarterback is, and have some good drafts and free agency. But I think the time's now. I think this next year, if he doesn't get it done at least with one playoff win, he's out. We're gonna have this conversation next year, and he's out the gate, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and somebody said, our man Ali Howard talking about, you know, how did it work out for Philly? They're just now getting somewhere, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. I mean, Philly fired Andy Reid in 2012. They won a Super Bowl in 2017.
Facts.
I go, so it's not like Philadelphia was just, they hired Chip Kelly. They had to fire him because they made a bad hire. They hired Doug Peterson. 2 years later, they won the Super Bowl. So let's not act like Philly just, oh man, they were terrible for 10 years. No, they weren't. And I go, and like I said, this is about to be the 3rd Super Bowl that they've been in since 2012. You're telling me as a Steeler fan, if we were to move on from Mike Tomlin from today, in 12 years, if we went to 3 Super Bowls and one of them we won, and we might win another, you guys wouldn't be happy with that? Of course we would. Stop. Yeah. We got to stop the nonsense, man. We got to stop.
I trade Tomlin for Sirianni today.
Yeah.
And, you know, people might say, no way, today, I trade him. I trade him head up. Give me Philly's coach, bro. Give me Philly coach.
Absolutely. So let's move on, man. I'm going to give you free reign, Big G, to talk about your Ohio State Buckeyes and this cheating national championship that they won. This cheating. Absolutely a cakewalk of a national title that they were handed. I will let you have the floor, man.
Cheating in a cakewalk.
Cakewalk.
Hold it, dog. Hold it, bro. Hold it. We say facts on this show. The Ohio State Buckeyes beat 6 top 10 ranked teams on their way to win this national championship.
Right.
Let's just make that perfectly clear. Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and then Notre Dame. And that was just the playoff. That wasn't even what they faced in the regular season with Indiana, Oregon,
Indiana,
Penn State. Indiana was a top 10 team.
Yeah, stop it.
Okay. All right. So Penn State. Can't say stop it on that.
Penn State never plays good in big games. You know that. Okay, I want to hear it.
Okay, but I'm saying they beat those teams. You can only play who's on your schedule, and where they're ranked, and
which is why I said a cakewalk.
No, not the playoff. The playoff, you popped 2 SEC teams that were supposed to have been the best conference and all whatever else.
Man, they didn't. I'm just messing.
I know, bro. I know. But we popped them boys. Now, I will say this. In Ohio State, and I'm happy that they won. They won the national championship. But I think they won in spite of Ryan Day.
Right.
I think Ryan Day is a micromanager just like Mike Tomlin. And I think Ryan Day had to get the hell out the way. Right? And he did. And now you're seeing the ramifications of that. Jim Knowles is out the door already. He's the DC at Penn State. He took $3.1 million for a 3-year deal. I wouldn't be shocked if Chip Kelly's out the door to the Houston Texans, right? So you can only take and deal with a micromanager for so long.
Correct.
And sometimes talent can prevail over micromanaging at coaching. So I think and feel, congratulations to the Buckeyes, but I want to see what Ryan Day looks like moving forward. And listen, if the Pittsburgh Steelers gonna get at least 2 Buckeyes in this draft, I'm pissed. I'm telling you, they got too much talent. They got too much talent for us not to pick at least 2 of them in the draft, bro. At least 2 of them got to come on the roster. So that's just where I'm at. But congratulations to Ohio State. I'm not going to be braggadocious because we're on a Steeler channel, and some folks going to have an issue or a problem with me. But we're the champs, baby. Matter of fact, let me get a sip of my tea. Let me get a sip of my Buckeye tea. Appreciate y'all, man. Cheers to y'all. Cheers to y'all, man. Cheers to y'all.
I understand. So let's break up this and get back to the Steelers real quick. Art Rooney. Art Rooney came out. He had his, I guess, end of the year press conference, and I don't know, man. I didn't like it. To me, not enough urgency out of Art Rooney II. I didn't hear the stuff that I wanted to hear out of Art Rooney II. First off, he talked about the quarterback situation. He said he wants to bring one of the 2 back. I mean, if you're saying you want to bring one of the 2 back, you haven't made your decision on who you want. How long do we have to wait? Like, why are we still making that decision right now? That decision should have already been made on who you want to bring back. And maybe he's just posturing. I get it as an owner. But my whole thing is, it's like, what are we doing? Like, seriously, what are we doing? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. He's very comfortable with Mike Tomlin. I do know that. I mean, he came out and said there's no reason to make any changes. So for all the people that think, myself included, that think that Art Rooney II is getting rid of Mike Tomlin anytime soon, you would be sorely mistaken. So we just got to move past that because that is not happening. It's just not happening, Big G.
B, man, I think that the reason why he hasn't made a decision on quarterback is because Tomlin likes Russell Wilson so much. I think if it was Art Rooney's decision as of today, he would have been moved off of Russell Wilson and he would have signed Justin Fields to a 2-year deal. But I think Tomlin has postured for Russell Wilson so much that he's got his ear. And I think it's time for us to move on for Russell Wilson and give Justin Fields a legit shot to find out if he's a franchise quarterback. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? He's a bridge quarterback to our draft in 2026. But what you're seeing happening right now in the NFL, quarterback mobility is a premium. It's a must. You have to have that. We have to have a quarterback that can put us in positions to play 11-on-11 football. Russell Wilson's not that guy. Justin Fields is. And I think Justin Fields can be developed like a Jalen Hurts, like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson. Now, he can't be no Mahomes boy. He can be a Jaden Daniels, though. He can be a Jaden Daniels. So let's develop him and run the plays that we need to run.
And I think that's part of the problem is, like, do you trust the people, the coaches in the locker room to do the developing? Do you trust that any of that is going to happen? I don't know that I trust that at this particular moment, but it's at the same time, it is what it is, man. We can't be beggars about everything because everything isn't going to change. That's some of the things that I like to get across. That's why I try to be as honest as possible, is that we can want and say and rant and scream about, we got to fire Tomlin, we got to do this. When the decision's already been made, we have to turn the page as fans.
That's
say, okay, they're not changing it. So it's okay, how do we get better? We can talk about Art Rooney II and call him all kinds of names, but he owns the team. So that isn't going to change anything. So my thing is, how do we get better? What do we do?
I think B froze. I think we got to improve the roster.
Yes, that's it. That's it, Big G. We got to improve the roster. And at some point, you got to start having tough decisions. And look, Steeler fans get mad at me when I say this, but I still say it and I never back off of it. The Steeler way can't be the way in 2025 in this day and age in the NFL. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work holding on to veterans so long and versus getting rid of them too early. You can't do that, Big G. Not in a salary cap age. You cannot do that. And the Steelers continuously do it. We talked about it with Big Ben. Big Ben, nobody wants to. Look, I don't blame Big Ben. He wanted to keep playing, and the Steelers kept paying him. So I don't blame him at all.
Right.
But I blame the front office. I blame Mike Tomlin. They should have told him, we're sorry, Ben. We got to move on from you, my man. We love you. We'll build a statue of you. But you can no longer play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got to move on. They didn't do it. They waited 2 years too late, and this is where we are. And we still don't have that quarterback, Big G. It's a problem.
2 of the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL right now today, we could have drafted them.
Yes.
In 2018, we could have got Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
In 2021, we could have got Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
That was partly on Big Ben, partly on Kevin Colbert, and partly on Mike Tomlin too.
Yes.
It was on all 3 of them, in my opinion.
Correct. Correct. That's where the issue comes in, man. Just as a reminder, everybody, remember, if you want your question, your comment, or your rant up on the screen, if you're not a member, make sure that you put that up. If you want to help support the channel, you can, as far as super chats. So make sure you understand that that's available. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. So my man Dresden had a comment here. Let's bring it up. He's a big-time member of Steelers Almighty, man. We like Dresden. Said Tomlin was the only one in the building that wanted Wilson to start, with the exception of Pickens, who needs the punt ball because he has no route tree and does not separate. Now, here's the thing that I'll disagree with you on that, Dresden. Other than Mike Tomlin, first of all, you're right about Mike Tomlin. He's the only one that wanted Russell Wilson to start.
Facts.
But earlier in the season, and I'm not saying Justin Fields is some great thrower of the football, because he isn't. But he threw the ball to George Pickens, and it wasn't just moonballs. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. So even last year with Baby Hands Pickett, there were comeback routes. There were quick slants, deep posts. There were other things that Pickens could do, and they utilized that. So it wasn't just that that's all Pickens can do. Bottom line is that Mike Tomlin was the only one that wanted Russ. He's the only one that wanted him, and so he put him out there because Tomlin had already made that promise. But there were other things that George Pickens can do. We just didn't do it because Russ couldn't do it, Big G.
Yeah. And listen, Arthur Smith was told to handcuff Justin Fields.
Correct.
I promise you he was. Because the way Justin plays, he could break a 60 or 70-yarder in a minute. But that's risk-reward football. You put him in positions to make a play. That's what playmakers do. Tomlin doesn't like that. Tomlin wants to be able to control his quarterback like a puppet. So then that way he can dictate that the defense wins the game and dictates the pace of the game versus going out there being aggressive and scoring a whole bunch of points. We know that Arthur Smith was beating the table talking about Justin's the quarterback. We know that. But, once again, I think they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I think Tomlin's going to have to get it in his head that he's got to move on and implement quarterback mobility for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Correct. Absolutely. Here's the thing. Somebody brought this up, and I'll bring it up again. I'm going to find it here because they were talking about a trade that I had talked about. Our man Tanner, who, again, is another member of Steelers Almighty. Appreciate the support, Tanner. He said, what if we trade Highsmith for either draft capital or offensive player? Herbig is capable of taking over the position and is a whole lot cheaper. Here's the thing that I said that early in the season, and then I watched Herbig play the run. Herbig was awful against the run, but he got better as the season went on. I'm back to it. Alex Highsmith is another person that the Steelers need to trade. Yeah. And you can get, even if it's a 4th-round pick for Alex Highsmith, you make that trade. I love Alex Highsmith. I think he's a really good player. But you know what? There's other teams that think that he's a really good player too. And so that's a trade that you make, Big G. $13 million the Steelers would save if you trade him post June 1st. That's a trade the Pittsburgh Steelers have to look at. Now, I'm not saying you got to get rid of all your good defensive players, but you can't tell me that that Herbig, who, look, he's going to be looking for a new contract sooner than later anyway. It's time for him to step up. Now's his opportunity. We know we're not going to get rid of TJ Watt. And yes, we need depth at that position. But come on, man, $13 million. What else can we go get that we would save? Because I get it. Yes, there's going to be some dead money. It's $5.6 million in dead money, but we saved $13 million on the cap. That's almost $8 million difference, man. You've got to do something. And I think that's one of the things that we do, Big G.
I agree. Listen, I got 3 players that I think they should trade. I think they should trade Highsmith 1, George Pickens 2, and Muth 3. I think that they should move on for those 3 guys. I think Muth is horrible in the run game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's staggering the development of Washington as a tight end. I think Highsmith is terrible, and he can't be a stand-up outside linebacker. He's got to play with his hand in the ground. Him and Watt looks like he has to do that all the time too. Well, I think Herbig, you can stand him up and move him around like a chess piece. And I think Pickens is just killing the wide receiver room. So you got to move on from those 3 guys and get as much draft capital as you possibly can. I would love to come out of this with 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths, along with a first-round draft pick by moving those 3 guys. I think that puts us in position to do what we need to do to revamp the roster for the Steelers, bro.
Here's the thing. I'm looking in the comments section here, and everything that you said is exactly right, Big G. But the comments, they're talking about at sooner or later we need a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you get good.
No.
I would beg to differ, people. The Baltimore Ravens haven't had one. The Baltimore Ravens got their quarterback, and they didn't have a top 5 pick. The Kansas City Chiefs got good. They didn't have a top 5 pick. You got to stop. You don't have to be bad in order to get good. That isn't the case. I know everybody believes that. You just have to have better people doing the scouting and doing the drafting when it's time for you to draft. You don't have to be bad. I mean, the Chiefs rebuilt their defense that was absolute garbage, and they're winning Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that you have to be bad in order to get good players on your football team. Doesn't work that way. What the Kansas City Chiefs did do was say, you know what? We got this receiver that is the best receiver in football that wants this boatload of money. You know what? We don't want to give it to him. We're going to trade him to somebody who will give us a bunch of draft picks back, and we're going to rebuild our defense because we got this quarterback that's better than everybody out there. I'm just saying. You don't have to be bad in order to get good. That's not a requirement. And I know everybody believes that it is because that's usually how things work, but you don't have to be. It's not a right or you got to be bad to be. No, you don't, Big G. And I know you believe that too. You don't have to be bad in order to get good. That's not the requirement, I should say.
That's total facts, bro. Ben wasn't no top 5 pick. Stop it.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, I've been rocking with the Steelers for a long time. He wasn't no top 5. But they got him, and then they built the roster up around him. They already had pieces, but they built the roster up around him, right? Same thing like you said in Kansas City. They got up off of Tyreek. They started flipping that stuff in the 2nd and 3rd round picks. Look at Kansas City starting defense. I bet you can't name him about 2 dudes who was picked in the 1st round. All the rest of them dudes were 2nd and 3rd round and 4th round draft picks. They developed the players, and they identified this guy fits our scheme. This guy is tough and nasty and physical.
Correct.
I mean, it's not hard. Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles got Jalen Hurts in the 2nd freaking round.
Correct.
They went out and got Saquon Barkley. They traded for A.J. Brown. They drafted Devin Smith. They drafted those 2 big boys from Georgia early in the 1st. But come on, man, you ain't got to build like that. You don't do that. No.
Not only did Philly build like that, if you remember, Carson Wentz was on Philadelphia's roster when they drafted Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
And they said, this guy's not the guy. And I know in the chat, you all hear me all the time, and I say this because I believe it. It's fine to – well, I shouldn't say it's fine to make a mistake, but I get it. Nobody's perfect. We're going to make mistakes from time to time as humans. But when you live in the mistake, that is the problem. And the Steelers, look, I thought they did a good job of getting out of Baby Hands Pickett. Said, hey, man, this guy ain't the guy. let's get up out of here. And
Yeah.
let's just be done with it. He don't want to compete for a job. You know what? Let's just get out of here and be done with it. Okay, great. Good job. But don't be scared to go back in there, because my man Dresden brings up a great point. He said the Steelers might be gun shy after taking Pickett. They might be, but the only thing I would say, Kevin Colbert is the one who made that draft selection. Well, Colbert and Tomlin. Now, it wasn't Omar Khan. Now, maybe you would say that Tomlin has more of an emphasis on the draft. Okay, I'm not going to say that he doesn't, but at least the actual general manager wasn't that guy. So
Kevin Colbert killed us, B. He killed us.
Yeah.
Wait till my piece come out where they see on all these Steeler networks what Kevin Colbert did to us from 2017 to 2022. He destroyed us, bruh. He destroyed us. So, yeah, come on, man. Come on, you're right. Keep it pushing. And I think listen, I rock with you, Steeler Nation. But come on now. Come on now. We don't need
we got somebody in the comments saying have the same energy with the rest of the current QBs. Like the current QBs on the Steelers? Because if that's what you mean, you must be new to this channel, because we don't like any of them.
Not like that.
We're not here ringing the praises of Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. So if that's what you mean, then okay. But like I said, the Steelers, they got a quarterback problem. We're going to get into the mock draft here, and we're going to figure some stuff out.
Facts.
We're going to figure some stuff out. And Zach, yes, we know that Mike Tomlin makes those draft picks. This is not a chance again. I know you're new, or you must be new too. We know what Mike Tomlin has his thumbprint on every single decision that is made in that building. He signs off on everybody from TJ Watt to the last guy on the practice squad. Nothing gets done without him. Absolutely nothing. So,
B, you shortchanged him. He makes decisions on the water boy.
Yeah,
come on
you're
now.
right. You're right.
He runs everything with the Steelers organization.
Everything.
Yeah, he's a micromanager.
Everything.
Yeah.
But let's take a look, man, at offseason moves here. So, as far as a mock draft, now I had a mock draft that came out the other day, and I'm not even going to pull that one up because I didn't have the Steelers taking a running back at all in that draft. And I got to thinking, I'm like, well, damn, Big B, what are you doing? Like, the free agent running back market is absolutely garbage.
Yeah, that's facts.
It's absolutely garbage. I'm like, we have to take a running back. It is a 100% must that the Steelers take a running back. Now, do they need to take one in the first round like everybody keeps screaming? No. Do they even need to take Kalen Johnson like everybody keeps screaming? No. But there are plenty of running backs that the Steelers can get within in the round 3 or 4 that would be very, very good in this system. But Big G, let's go to you. You got a mock draft. What do you got going, my man?
All right, man. So I got to just make this public service announcement. It is extremely hard to do a mock draft without full player evaluation based on the combine and pro days. We are picking players based on what we watched them live play, what we've watched in all 22 film, and what we're hearing out of different camps concerning players and how they fit schemes in the NFL. That's why they're called mock drafts, and that's why most people that do what we do a whole bunch. Okay, so I got to make this disclaimer because I don't want people to say, well, gee, you said, listen, man, it's early in the process. Okay, so I personally feel round 1, we go wide receiver. I got 3 guys that I like, but I lock in on Emeka Buka, wide receiver, Ohio State University. I think that Emeka gives us a legitimate wide receiver 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that gives us the ability to either, George Pickens, either you got to do what you need to do, the number 2, or get off the pot.
Right.
Because you're not going to be the number 1 guy, and we're not going to cater the offense around you anymore. You want me to go to my second round, B? I'm going to go to my second round.
Go ahead.
Okay, second round. I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to look at defensive tackle, right? And I believe that Walter Nolan, 6'3", 310-pound nose tackle out of Ole Miss University will be available when we pick in the second round for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's not super huge, like a 340, 350 type guy, but I think he provides the versatility to be fast enough to even beat a double team on the inside and take on a double team. which we need a guy that's going to take up 2 blockers to make our linebackers better in our current 3-4 schematic. Okay? Third round, I got us taking Quinshawn Junkins, running back, Ohio State University. 6'2", 218 pounds. He's going to run a sub. He's going to run like a 4.42, 4.41 40-yard dash. And then you guys that watched the national championship game and the run of Ohio State, you saw that even though Trey is super explosive, Quinshawn is a dog, right? And you got to have that type guy in your backfield to put you in position to win. So I got 3 rounds now. My 4th round, this gonna mess everybody up. And people gonna get pissed at me for this one. I don't care, right? I gotta read the kid's name directly off because I've been watching film on him for 2 days. His name is Kenyatta Fili. He played at BYU University first. He was at Tennessee last year. He's a stud middle linebacker that got hurt. He's 6'3", 240 pounds, and he runs like a freaking deer. He runs downhill to go tackle the football, and you can put him out there and pass. He can play every pass pro offense that's out there. The kid's fast, strong, and athletic. He reminds me of James Ferrier. I'm just going to be blunt. I'm not saying he's James Ferrier, but when I put on the tape B and I watch the film, I like him because we got to get stronger in the middle for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Correct.
Now, I know that abandons corner. I know that abandons quarterback. But I think with those type positions, you might be able to do something well with my initial mock 1 NFL 2025 draft.
Right. Here's what I came up with, and this is a new one for me that I put in today. Now, I did a draft simulator. Somehow, Kenneth Grant dropped to the Steelers at 21. I don't see how that's possible. But if Kenneth Grant were to drop to the Steelers, I know everybody wants a wide receiver in the first round. I'm sorry. Defensive line is just as big a need right now as wide receiver. It is because we're not going to have – I mean, Leal can't do it. Larry O's going to be gone. Cam is 36. Loudermilk, Logan Lee. I mean, we don't have any D linemen, man. We just don't. So if Kenneth Grant is around, that's a no-brainer. Then I went to Emory Jones in the 2nd round. He's the other tackle from LSU. Now, I know people are saying, well, come on, Big B, what are you talking about taking the tackle? I'm still not convinced that the Steelers aren't going to say, hey, man, we missed on Broderick Jones. I'm not convinced that the Steelers haven't just said, you know what, Broderick Jones is not a tackle that we can live with. We got to go get another guy. That's why I'm saying that. Like I told you all before, it's one thing to make a mistake. It's another thing to live in the mistake, and I don't think the Steelers are willing to do that. 3rd round, I took Savion Williams. He's a wide receiver out of TCU. Big, long receiver, something that we need on the other side of George Pickens. That's if we keep George Pickens, which after listening to Art Rooney talk, the Steelers aren't trading Pickens. I'm just the Steelers aren't trading Pickens after hearing him talk. So everybody that thinks he's going to be gone, maybe he will be, but I don't think so. Just not by what he said. If you can read anything by that, he's going to be a Steeler. And in the 4th round, Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon, the 2nd out of Oklahoma State. If we can get Ollie Gordon in the 4th round, Ollie Gordon is big. He's physical. He's fast. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can move laterally. I would take Ollie Gordon in a 2nd if we could get him in the 4th round. So that is my definition of who I would like. Savion Williams' hands aren't that bad, man. They're not that bad. They
throwing him under the bus, B. They throwing him under the bus.
Right under the bus. They're not that bad, man. They're not that bad. You must have lost the parlay, and he dropped a pass on you. I get it. I've been there too. But that's who I like in 4th round. So, but here's the thing with all of that. It's still just going to depend on exactly what happens with this draft. Like last year, nobody predicted that there were going to be 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 12 picks. That just wasn't – nobody was thinking that, man. And so that's why I say the Steelers – don't be mad if the Steelers draft the tackle early. I'm telling you all that right now. Don't get pissed off if – oh, man, we took another tackle. If they do that, that's because they know that Broderick Jones can't play or that Troy Faetano ain't healthy. One of those two things is the truth. So don't be frustrated in the first two picks if the Steelers go offensive tackle. All you have to do is think, oh, well, Broderick Jones can't play. Or, yeah, Troy Faetano, his knee is screwed up and he's not going to be able to play. That's all I'm saying. So don't be frustrated if that were to happen.
B, you know what it could be too? And I'm just being honest. What if they make the decision to move Broderick Jones or Troy Faetano to guard? Listen, we talked about this off air. Look at Becton for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a top 15 pick at tackle for the Jets, and he was big trash.
Right.
They shipped him out of there. They got him over to a different team, different philosophy, moved him to guard, and he's a killer. So what if they make the decision with Broderick Jones or Faetano, and they say, look, we're going to move one of these guys inside the guard, right? So that way we're not pressed to re-sign Siamalu. We're not pressed to re-sign Daniels. And then we're going to go get another tackle in the draft. It makes all the sense in the world to me because you got to build the trenches first. As much as I know we need skill positions at wide receiver and running back, I would be much happier with a dog defensive lineman and a dog offensive lineman with my first two picks because you can't get well in the NFL without having the trenches built correctly. So I get it. I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you.
Yeah, I just here's the thing. If they take an offensive lineman early, I'm not mad about it. I'm not. There's going to be some people that are mad about it, but I'm not. So the tackles were the worst tandem in the league. They gave up the most sacks, 12 and 11. At some point, you have to address that. Now, with Faetanu coming back, but do you just trust Broderick to get better? I don't. So that's all I'm saying. At some point, you have to address it. You got to address it. So maybe that's what they do. Free agency. So the biggest Steeler players to hit free agency that the Steelers are going to say to goodbye. To me, it's pretty easy, is Najee Harris. I mean, he's going to be gone. Steelers aren't going to sign him back. Or at least I don't think there's any way the Steelers sign him back because it's projected that Najee's going to get like $11 million a year. I'm like, there ain't no damn way the Steelers are going to pay that. They wouldn't even pay 7. Now you're going to turn around and pay 11? Goodbye, Big G. And then the person that everybody knows is going to be gone, Dan Moore Jr. Just
big adios
a chance in hell that he gets signed. Even all the loyalty in the world that was shown by Mike Tom, there ain't a chance in hell that Dan Moore Jr. is going to be back, Big G. Neither one of those guys are coming back.
Bro, the top 4, 5, maybe 6 free agents for us ain't coming back. Listen, this team is going to look completely different in 2025. But right off the back, like you said, man, Najee is going to – the only way – let me just preface this. The only way Najee Harris comes back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're not going to give him a franchise tag, is if he tests the open market, nobody's willing to give him the deal that he wants, and he comes back to us on the low. I'm talking about like $7.5 million, 3-year deal. Yeah, we'll take him back. But I think that the open market is going to pay him. A team like the Dallas Cowboys that doesn't have a running back, a team like the Las Vegas Raiders that don't have a running back, they're going to go get Najee and they're going to overpay him. And, listen, it's not – I don't hate Najee. I just don't think he fits what we need to do in Pittsburgh. 1,000 yards is nothing to stand on. It's like standing on Mike Tomlin's issue with him not having a losing record. Well, that's sort of easy now. You play 17 games, you should get a G. So I mean, we need a guy that can explode. Look at the teams that are remaining in the playoffs. Look at the Final Four. That just everybody had a running back that could blow up. Everybody had a running back that could get there. So we got to switch that up. And like I said, Jones, man, please. I wanted Jones traded at the beginning of the season. I think the biggest issue was he was Pat Myers' project. And because Pat Myers, to me, is not a good offensive line coach, he wanted to make it seem like, well, my project is doing well. And we saw as the season went on further and further and further, Dan Moore Jr. was big trash. So he's got to go, right? And then we got to look at what we need to do in the offensive line, bro.
Yeah, that's. I mean, they're saying they're eating it up in the chat. They're exactly right. Like our man Justin said, that you can help your offensive line consistently with guys on the outside that can win one-on-ones. That's true. But also how you can help your offensive line is if your three interior guys are rock solid. Kansas City Chiefs are a perfect example of that. They got tackles that are terrible. But because they have three of the best guys in football at center, left guard, and right guard, they're able to get by with just having okay tackles. So you got to be solid somewhere. There's got to be some, and the Steelers aren't anywhere. And that's the problem. That is absolutely the problem. I just think that they can draft the guard, but are you going to draft a guard that high? I think the Steelers, again, go buy a guard. I mean, Trey Smith is coming available. I still think that the Chiefs are going to do enough and to be able to keep him because they understand how good he is and how valuable he is to the team. So they'll be able to come up with a way to keep him. But if you could go overpay for Trey Smith and plant him for the next 4 years at right guard, you do it in a heartbeat, an absolute heartbeat. Now the question becomes, Big G, are the Steelers going to be big play? They're going to have all this cap room. Are they going to be big players in free agency? Like, are they going to go out and get some people in free agency, or are we going to roll into next year with $30 million in cap space?
I think they should. And listen, they don't necessarily need to be aggressive in free agency at skill position.
Right.
I think you should be aggressive in the offensive and defensive line. And even possibly looking at making a trade on the offensive defensive line. If there's just a guy you're looking at and like, okay, he's coming up with contract issues with his team, and he's a solid guy in the NFL, be aggressive and go get him. People who are casual fans love the skill position. They want to splash. That's why last year that Brandon Ayuk thing just carried on and on and on forever.
Correct.
We knew good and damn well Brandon Ayuk was never coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right? So you got to build the trenches, right? Listen, a team that didn't even make it to the conference championship. Look at the Detroit Lions. Look at what the Detroit Lions have done in free agency with their defensive line, and look at what they've done in a draft with their offensive line. They're solid. So you got to spend money and draft. Now, there's multiple names out there. I like the guy at Kansas City. I like the guy down at Miami. I think we can also peel back one of those dudes from the Jets. I really do, because the Jets' tackles are horrible, but their interior offensive line ain't that bad. So I want to take a real good hard look at what we have out there available concerning interior offensive line and interior defensive line, and go get some playmakers, bro. Because they're playmakers too. Just because we big fellas, that don't mean we ain't playmakers. Come on now. You need those guys to do the damn thing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all of that. Our man Justin came up with a good observation. He said the only two teams that prevented pressure longer than the Steelers was Kansas City and Philly. And that's the whole thing. That's how you know some of those nerd stats don't mean anything. Because are you trying to tell me that the Steelers line was even bad? I would say the line was atrocious. Yeah. And so that sometimes nerd stats just don't mean anything. First of all, Philly, if they're not the best line, they're not third in the National Football League. And the reason that, as far as pressures are concerned, Mahomes runs around. So you can have just iffy to bad tackles. But if you find out, you watch Kansas City Chiefs fans or watch their games, he's running for his life the whole game. But it works out, because he's Patrick Mahomes. So at some point, you got to have guys that, number one, can move people against their will, and two, that can be pass protectors. So, but when you have a guy that gives up 12 sacks, which is number one in the league, and then another guy that gives up 11 sacks, which is number two in the league, your offensive line is not any good, and you're not doing it. I don't want to hear about, well, they prevented pressures. Yeah, they didn't do enough because they gave up 12 and 11 sacks, 23 sacks between two people. There you go, dumpster juice. Lord have mercy.
It was horrible.
It's horrible.
It was freaking horrible. Yeah, it was freaking horrible. It was horrible. Get them out of here.
They were bad. And that's my whole thing is, And there's so many holes that the Steelers have to fill. It's incredible. Like somebody came in the chat and said, stop blaming that the coaching is bad. Stop blaming the players. So the players have no responsibility? Like nothing is on the players? How about the players played bad? I mean, you can't just say that it's coaching and that coaching is the only issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is not true. That is absolutely not true.
In order to be successful in NFL, you have to have a competent GM that can draft players and bring any talent from the free agency. You have to have a coach that allows his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators to coach. And you have to have the personnel that can run the scheme. Matter of fact, that just ain't even NFL. That's high school football.
Correct.
You got it. High school football, you win more because you have more talent than most other teams. But as you elevate up in the collegiate ranks and the pros, you got to have those three things, because if you ain't got it, you're going to lose. Correct. And the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster ain't right yet, y'all. It ain't right. It's better than what it was 2 years ago when Ben walked out the door. But it ain't right yet, y'all. It's not right.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that have to change. Let's get to the producer question. We always got a surprise producer question that our man goes behind the scenes that comes up with us that we haven't seen. So we're going to wait for him to bring that up. Here we go. The Steelers have an aging defense. Path 1, trade TJ, Cam, and Mika and start from scratch with a young core, or they go down path 2, is dredge it out with the old and expensive defense in hopes of a run for TJ and Cam.
I get to pick first.
You can pick one or the other, just so everybody knows. There is no where we're going to cut this in half, we're going to cut that in half. No. It's either we keep them all or we get rid of them all. Which would you guys rather do? I'll start with you, Big G.
I'll take door number 1, Alex. Give me door number 1, and I'm trading off everybody.
Yeah.
If I could listen, TJ Watt, I might get 1 or 2 high picks, maybe at least a first, but maybe you might be able to scheme or scam and get 2 of them. You might mess around and get a second for Mika. You ain't gonna get nothing for Cam. You might get a 5th, right? But then you start from scratch and you put yourself in the position to build it. Because guess what, y'all? I'm listening. Unless a miracle happens and we just completely turn this thing around, TJ Watt might not get a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. I know they want him to be a lifelong Steeler, but we're looking at 2 years minimum. We're looking at next season and the season after, because we haven't identified a franchise quarterback. Trade him and get the capital for him. Same difference for Minka. We're looking at 2 years, man. Minimum. Trade him and get the capital. I just like door 1, B, more than door 2. That's just me.
Well, here's the thing. In today's NFL, with salary cap and everything that goes on, especially with all the rules, when you go and you say and keep all of your aging stars, first of all, Big Ben would be the perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, we kept Big Ben 2 years too long, and look what happened.
Yeah.
I go, you can't just keep everybody. Now, and again, that's the question. So there's some people in the chat, trading, TJ is stupid. Yeah, we understand that, but this is the question. You can't break up the question. It is what it is. And if we're trying to be better, for instance, and this is a harsh thing to say, and maybe you don't want to blame them, maybe you don't, but having those guys as your core of your team, what's it won us?
Nothing.
Like, what did TJ, Cam, and Mika, what did they win? I mean, hell, they can't even win playoff games.
Yeah.
So much less Super Bowls. And I love him. Don't get me wrong, but y'all know how I feel about Mika. I think Mika's got to take a huge pay cut or he can't be on the Steelers next year. I mean, I'm not backing off of that. It may not happen, but I ain't backing off of that. I think something's got to happen with Mika. I think we just trade him and move on.
Yeah.
You're not trading Cam. You're not trading a 36-year-old defensive tackle. That's not happening. And I don't think you have to trade TJ either. But in this scenario, you absolutely trade all 3 of them and get all the draft capital you have and then spend the money and then try to become good. And you got to start over, because what you've done has not worked. Now, you can blame whoever you want to blame for that. If you want to blame Tomlin, the Rooneys, quarterback, offensive coordinator, fine. Blame all those people. But the fact of the matter is, having these guys hasn't worked. Oh, by the way, let me just ask this question. What team out there has all the best players on the defensive side of the football?
Nobody.
Like what good team out there has that? I mean, somebody just tell me. What good
Nobody.
team?
Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody has all of their good players on the defensive side of the football that's any good.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's any good.
And how he prefaced the question is for real, bro. Because we know this stuff ain't gonna happen. We know.
Correct.
We know Watt ain't going nowhere. We know Watt's gonna retire a Steeler. We know Cam Hayward's gonna retire a Steeler. Minka might not retire no Steeler. but we know that's not gonna happen. But you have to do, if you're not gonna change the coaching staff, which they're not gonna do, you have to do something to shake up the roster to get you young draft capital or free up money to be able to go aggressively attack free agency. You got to do one of the two. So I think the Steelers have the personnel to be able to do it, bro.
Correct. I love everybody that's in the chat, and y'all know how I feel about y'all and how you support the channel. But when you say crazy stuff, I have to say crazy stuff, but I have to call it out. Jonathan Harvey, what the hell are you talking about? The Eagles' best players, all of them are on the defensive side of the ball.
No.
I mean, there's no way you believe that that's a real statement. You have to just be trolling just to say something, because I'm not even going to go into the names, but for you to even bring that up, that's ridiculous.
Saquon, the left tackle, Lance Johnson, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Come on, stop it, man.
Yeah, you got to stop, man. You got to stop. You got to stop. Yeah. Not to mention, you can probably only name one defensive player on the Eagles, which is Jalen Carter. Other than that, you probably can't even, unless you're an Eagles fan. Jason said the Niners do. I'm sorry, but Christian McCaffrey was about to win the MVP last year. Probably should have won the MVP last year.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, do I got to keep going down the names?
Kittle.
Yeah, come on, dog. They all dogs.
No. Stop. You got to stop. You got to stop. Yeah. I get it. We get into this, but nobody, man, nobody has the best defensive players as their best players. All of them on the defensive side of the ball. Not good teams. Not good teams. Not the ones that are competing for championships. That's not how it works these days.
Yeah.
That's not how it works these days.
They just feeling sort of biased, man, because you know how Steelers fans get, man. When you start talking about you got to get up off of TJ and letting Cam ride off into the sunset and getting rid of Minka, those are the names that they're used to. And they don't understand, man, that we're not in contention. We want to be in contention. So sometimes to get in contention, you got to part ways. Let's just kiss and say goodbye. I know, so yeah. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's a problem. I get it. We're emotional. The problem is we're just not good. We're just not that good right now.
No.
And we got to hope for a change. And some of the changes that we want, Big G, it doesn't seem like the ownership is ready to make those changes, and it's frustrating. So
yeah. Our Rooney punted, dog. He punted.
Yeah.
He punted
and that's the problem. Is that I've said it before. It seems like he just loves mediocrity. And because at some point, when do you force a change? Like, when do you make a change? You keep talking about you trust all these people. Well, why? Why? I mean, what are you wanting? Are you wanting to win Super Bowls? If you are, then when do you make these changes, Big G? Like, what do you do that says, you know what, I'm going to keep doing what we've been doing because they'll turn it around? How? How is that part of your philosophy?
Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. But we're stuck with Tomlin going into 2025. We're stuck with Tomlin. So what we're as Steeler people that analyze the team, watch film, do what we need to do behind the scenes that nobody sees, we understand and know the only way to really actually make this better is you got to improve the 53-man roster and improve the offense, bro. We know that.
Oh, well, it is what it is, man. We'll get it together. But I am excited about the offseason. I think there's some stuff that we can do. I think there's some stuff that we can do, man. But that's what we got for you tonight. Big G, man, again, as always, man, we appreciate you joining us as always on Tuesday for the big show. I mean, you are incorporated in a big show, so I don't even have to keep thanking you for joining us. You are us, so we appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody besides here where they can find you, brother.
Man, make sure you guys check us out on the KnoItAllz Podcast every Sunday at 6 o'clock when me, Mod, and Tape Boy Fresh is over there chopping up sports. We're transitioning from football into basketball. So any of you guys out there that's basketball type, we're going to go into baseball. We do all the sports coverage on the KnoItAllz channel. You can see me on there, and you can also see me over on Steel Curtain Network on Wednesdays and on Fridays. Wednesdays with Pump Your Brakes Podcast, and on Fridays with the Homies and Homies Overtime. Outside of that, I'm over here with B, and I do a little thing here and there with the college football, but I'm happy to be here and rocking out on Steelers Almighty and the Big Show.
Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you. Thank everybody again for being a part of this. Got some news. Again, if you're not a member already, please make sure that you sign up to become a member. A lot of content coming out. Got 5 different levels for you guys to join. If you haven't done that already, make sure that you do. Again, once this is over, make sure you go into the video, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, and definitely leave a comment. We appreciate all of that. Thursday, we got big season in review show coming out. So make sure you guys are here live and ready to go with us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you as always, and aloha.